I'd like to extend my greetings by saying to all of you, Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Welcome to the 30th reading of the Qur'an. And after the reading, Eid Mubarak to all of you.
Eid Kareem.
Inshallah, the moon has been sighted, the Hilal has been sighted, so inshallah, we wish everyone a happy Eid. Eid starts effective after Maghrib. When Maghrib comes in, then that will be your Eid day, inshallah. A reminder to all of you, the Eid prayer on tomorrow at the FirstCleveland Mosque will start at 8:30. So try to get here at 8 o'clock because it'll probably be an overload. Eid Fitr is an overload, so you want to try to get here as early as possible, inshallah. So let me remind you that on this 30th reading, this is the 30th juz of the Qur'an. We'll start at Surah An-Naba. This is on page, this is 78, ayat Surah 78. Surah An-Naba, commentary 258. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على خاتم المرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. Commentary 258. The great news for man and his spiritual destiny is the judgment to come, that is, the day of sorting out. Do not the power, the goodness, and the justice of Allah reveal themselves in all nature, the panorama around us, the voice in our souls, and the harmony between heaven and earth? That day is sure to arrive at its time appointed, when behold, the present order will pass away. Then will the fruits of evil appear and the fruits of righteousness. Allah's blessings will be more than the merits of men. But who can argue with the fountain of grace? And who can prevent the course of justice? Let us then, before it become too late, betake ourselves to our Lord most gracious. Naba, or the great news. In the name of Allah most gracious, most merciful. Concerning what are they disputing? Concerning the great news about which they cannot agree. Verily, they soon shall come to know. Verily, verily, they shall soon come to know. Have we not made the earth as a wide expanse and the mountains as pegs? And have we not created you in pairs and made you asleep for rest, and made the night as a covering, and made the day as a means of subsistence? And have we not built over you the seven firmaments, and placed therein a light of splendor? And do we not send down from the clouds water in abundance, that we may produce there with corn and vegetables and gardens of luxurious growth? Verily, the day of sorting out is a thing appointed. The day that the trumpet shall be sounded, and ye shall come forth in crowds, and the heavens shall be opened as if there were doors, and the mountains shall vanish as if they were a mirage. Truly, hell is our place of ambush, for the transgressors a place of destination. They will dwell therein for ages. Nothing cool shall they taste therein, nor any drink, save a boiling fluid and a fluid dark, murky, intensely cold, a fitting recompense for them. For that they used not to fear any account for their deeds, for they impudently treated our signs as false. And all things have we preserved on record. So taste ye the fruits of your deeds, for no increase shall we grant you except in punishment. Verily for the righteous there will be a fulfillment of the heart's desires, gardens enclosed and grapevines, companions of equal age, and a cup full to the brim. No vanity shall they hear therein, nor untruth. Recompense from thy Lord, a gift amply sufficient. From the Lord of the heavens and the earth and all between, Allah most gracious. None shall have power to argue with him. The day that the Spirit and the angels will stand forth in ranks, none shall speak except any who is permitted by Allah most gracious, and he will say what is right. That day will be the sure reality. Therefore, whoso will, let him take a straight return to his Lord. Verily, we have warned you of a penalty near. The day when man will see the deeds which his hands have sent forth, and the unbelievers will say, woe unto me! With that, I were mere dust. Naziat, commentary 259. Never can evil escape Allah's order and law. His angels are ever present to bring the wicked to their bearings, and they ever strive and press forward to bring comfort, succor, and Allah's mercy to those who seek it. Then will come the day when the proud shall be humbled, though they deny the coming judgment. What happened to Pharaoh? He flouted Allah's message specially sent to him and arrogantly proclaimed, I am your Lord Most High. He perished in this life and will answer for his deeds in the next. But can you not see, O men, the mighty works of Allah in the heavens and on earth? The darksome splendor of the night with its stars and the daylight splendor of the sun? How the earth with its spacious expanse and its mountains yield moisture and pasture and feeds and sustains men and cattle through Allah's wise providence? Transgress not all bounds and earn not the fire of punishment, but fear Allah and his judgment, and prepare for the garden of perpetual bliss. Delay not, the judgment is sure and is nigh. Naziat, for those who tear out. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful, by the angels who tear out the souls of the wicked with violence, by those who gently draw out the souls of the blessed, and by those who glide alone on errands of mercy, then press forward as in a race, then arrange to do the commands of their Lord. One day, everything that can be in commotion will be in violent commotion, followed by oft-repeated commotions. Hearts that day will be in agitation. Cast down will be their owner's eyes. They say now, what? Shall we indeed be returned to our former state? What? When we shall have become rotten bones? They say, it would in that case be a return with loss. But verily, it will be but a single compelling cry, when behold, they will be in full awakening to judgment. Has the story of Moses reached it? Behold, thy Lord did call to him in the sacred valley to Tuah. Go thou to Pharaoh, for he has indeed transgressed all bounds. And say to him, was thou that thou shouldst be purified from sin? And that I guide thee to thy Lord, so thou shalt fear him. Then did Moses show him the great sign. But Pharaoh rejected it and disobeyed guidance. Further, he turned his back, striving hard against Allah. Then he collected his men and made a proclamation saying, I am your Lord Most High. But Allah did punish him and made an example of him in the hereafter as in this life. Verily, in this is an instructive warning for whosoever feareth Allah. What? Are you the more difficult to create or the heaven above? Allah hath constructed it. On high hath he raised his canopies, and he hath given it order and perfection. Its nights doth he endow with darkness, and its splendors doth he bring out with light. And the earth, moreover, hath he extended to wide expanse. He draweth out therefrom his moisture and his pastures, and the mountains hath he firmly fixed, for use and convenience to you and your cattle. Therefore, when there comes the great overwhelming event, the day when man shall remember all that he strove for, and hell fire shall be placed in full view for all to see, then for such as had transgressed all bounds and had preferred the life of this world, the abode will be hellfire. And for such as had entertained the fear of standing before their Lord's tribunal, and had restrained their souls from Lord desires, their abode will be the garden. Now they ask thee about the hour. When will it be its appointed time? Wherein art thou concerned with the declaration thereof? With thy Lord is the limit fixed therefore. Thou art but a warner for such a spirit. The day they see it, it will be as if they had tarried but a single evening, or at most, to the following morn. Commentary 260. Introduction to Surah Abasa. Men not blessed with the good things of this life may yet be earnest seekers of truth and purity, and deserve as much attention as those who seem to wield some influence, yet who in their pride are self-sufficient. Allah's message is universal. All have a right to hear it. Held high in honor, kept pure and holy, it should be writ by none but good and honorable men. Allah's grace is showered on man not less for his inner growth than in his outward life. These must be a final reckoning, when each soul must stand on his own past record. The faces then of the blessed will be with joy and light, while the doers of iniquity will hide in dust and shame and darkness. Abasa, or he frowned. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful. The Prophet frowned and turned away because there came to him the blind men interrupting. But what could tell thee but that perchance he might grow in spiritual understanding, or that he might receive admonition and the teaching might profit him? But as to the one who regards himself as self-sufficient, to him dost thou attend. For it is no blame to thee if he grow not in spiritual understanding. But as to him, how came to thee striving earnestly and with fear in his heart? Of him was thou unmindful. By no means should it be so, for it is indeed a message of instruction. Therefore let so who will keep it in remembrance. It is in books held greatly in honor, exalted in dignity, kept pure and holy, written by the hands of scribes, honorable, pious, and just. Woe to man! What hath he made him reject Allah? From what stuff hath he created him? From a sperm drop he had created him, and then molded him in due proportion. Then doth he make his path smooth for him. Then he causeth him to die and putteth him in his grave. Then when it is his will, he will raise him up again. By no means hath he fulfilled what Allah hath commanded him. Then let man look at his food and how we provide it. For that we pour forth water in abundance, and we split the earth in fragments, and produce therein corn and grapes and nutritious plants and olives and dates, and enclosed gardens dense with lofty trees and fruits and fodders for use and convenience to you and your cattle. And then, when there comes the deafening noise, that day shall a man flee from his own brother, and from his mother and his father, and from his wife and his children. Each one of them that day will have enough concern of his own to make him indifferent to the others. Some faces that day will be beaming, laughing, rejoicing, and other faces that day will be dust-stained. Blackness will cover them. Such will be the rejectors of Allah, the doers of iniquity. Commentary 261. How can the soul's self-conviction be fitly expressed except by types of tremendous cataclysms in nature, and still more by tremendous searchings in the heart of man? These want deep pondering. But once the spiritual dawn has breathed away the darkness of the night, the vision glorious clears all doubts and brings us face to face with truth. The highest archangel in heaven is sent by Allah to bring these truths to men through their apostles. Allah's grace flows freely. We have but to tune our wills to His, the ever-loving, righteous Allah. Taqweer, or the folding up. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful. When the sun with its spacious light is folded up, when the stars fall losing their luster, when the mountains vanish like a mirage, when the she-camel 10 months with young are left unattended, when the wild beasts are herded together in human habitations, when the oceans boil over with the swell, when the souls are sorted out being joined like with like, when the female infant buried alive is questioned for what crime she was killed, when the scrolls are laid open, when the world on high is unveiled, when the blazing fire is kindled to fierce heat, and when the guard is brought near, then shall each soul know what it has put forth. So verily, I call to witness the planets that recede, go straight or hide, and the night as it dissipates, and the dawn as it breathes away the darkness. Verily, this is the word of a most honorable messenger, endued with power, with ranks before the Lord of the throne, with authorities there, and faithful of his trust. And, O people, your companion is not one possessed, and without doubt he saw him in the clear horizon. Neither does he withhold grudgingly a knowledge of the unseen, nor is it the word of an evil spirit a curse. Then whither go ye? Verily this is no less than a message to all the worlds, with profit to whoever among you wills to go straight. But ye shall not will except as Allah wills, the cherisher of the worlds. Commentary 262, Introduction to Surah Al-Infitar. How fixed is the order holding together this material universe above and below us? Yet it must give way before the vast, unfathomed truth in which man will see his past and his future in true perspective. To Allah he owes his life and all his blessings. Will he not see that the future depends on right and justice? Righteousness must come to its own, and so much discord and rebellion. The day must come when discord must finally cease, and the peace of Allah and His command are all in all. Infitar, or the cleaving asunder. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful. When the sky is cleft asunder, when the stars are scattered, when the oceans are suffered to burst forth, and when the graves are turned upside down, then shall each soul know what it has sent forward and what it hath kept back. O man, what has seduced thee from thy Lord most beneficent? Him who created thee, fashioned thee in due proportion, and gave thee a just bias. In whatever form he wills does he put thee together. Nay, but you do reject right and judgment. For verily over you are appointed angels to protect you, kind and honorable, writing down your deeds. They know and understand all that you do. And as for the righteous, they will be in bliss, and the wicked, they will be in the fire, which they will enter on the day of judgment, and they will not be able to keep away therefrom. And what will explain to thee what the day of judgment is? Again, what will explain to thee what the day of judgment is? It will be the day when no soul shall have power to do aught for another. For the command that day will be holy with Allah. Commentary 263, Introduction to Surah Taqfif. Shun fraud in all things, in little things of daily life, but especially in those subtler forms of higher life, which will be exposed to view at judgment, however hidden they may be in this life. Give everyone his due, for the record of ill deeds and good is fully kept, and the stains of sin corrupt the soul. Reject not the real now, nor mock, for the time will come when the true will come to its own, and then the mighty arrogant will be abased. Taqfif, or dealing in fraud. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful. Woe to those that deal in fraud, those who, when they have to receive by measure from men, exact full measure, but when they have to give by measure or weight to men, give less than due. Do they not think that they will be called to account on a mighty day? That they will be called to account on a mighty day, a day when all mankind will stand before the Lord of the worlds. Nay, surely the record of the wicked is preserved in Sijin. And what will explain to thee what Sijin is? There is a register fully inscribed. Woe that day to those that deny the day of judgment. And none can deny it but the transgressors beyond bounds, the sinner. When our signs are rehearsed to him, he says, tales of the ancients. By no means, but on their hearts is the stain of the ill which they do. Verily from the light of their Lord that day will they be veiled. Further, they will enter the fire of hell. Further, it will be said to them, this is the reality which you rejected as false. Nay, verily the record of the righteous is preserved in Ilion. And what will explain to thee what Ilion is? There is a register fully inscribed, to which bear witness those nearest to Allah. Truly, the righteous will be in bliss. On thrones of dignity will they command the sight of all things. Thou wilt recognize in their faces the beaming brightness of bliss. Their thirst will be slaked with pure wine sealed. The seal thereof will be musk. And for this let those aspire who have aspirations. With it will be given a mixture of tasneem, a spring from the waters whereof drink for those nearest to Allah. Those in sin used to laugh at those who believe. And whenever they passed by them, used to wink at each other in mockery. And when they returned to their own people, they would return jesting. And whenever they saw them, they would say, behold, these are the people truly astray. But they had not been sinners keepers over them. But on this day, the believers will laugh at the unbelievers. On thrones of dignity, they will command the sight of all things. Will not the unbelievers have been paid back for what they did? In Shikak, Commentary 264. All mysteries, fair or shrouded in gloom, will vanish when the full reality stands revealed. If this life is but painful toil, there is the hope of the meeting with their Lord. That will be bliss indeed for the righteous. But woe to arrogant dealers in sin. Like the sunset glow or the shades of night or the moon's ever-changing light, man's light never rests here below, but travels ever onward stage by stage. Grasp then Allah's message and reach the heights to reap a reward that will never fail through all eternity. In Shikak, or the rending asunder, in the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful. When the sky is rent asunder, and hearkens to the command of its Lord, and it must needs do so. And when the earth is flattened out, and casts forth what is within it, and becomes clean, empty, and hearkens to the command of his Lord, and it must needs do so, then will come home the full reality. O thou man, verily thou art ever toiling on towards the Lord, painfully toiling, but thou shalt meet him. Then he who is given his record in his right hand, soon will his account be taken by an easy reckoning, and he will turn to his people rejoicing. But he who is given his record behind his back, soon will he cry for perdition, and he will enter a blazing fire. Truly did he go about among his people rejoicing. Truly did he think that he would not have to return to us. Nay, for his Lord was ever watchful of him. So I do call to witness the ruddy glow of sunset, the night in its homing, and the moon in her fullness. Ye shall surely travel from stage to stage. What then is the matter with them that they believe not? And when the Qur'an is read to them, they fall not prostrate, but on the contrary, the unbelievers reject it. But Allah has full knowledge of what they secrete in their breasts. So announce to them a penalty grievous, except to those who believe and work righteous deeds. For them is a reward that will never fail. That's a sister. We missed the sister on the 21st, verse 21. Commentary 265. Woe to those who persecute truth. They are being watched by mighty eyes. They will have to answer when the judgment comes, and a clear record will witness against them. Are they cruel to men because of their faith? The fire they use will be turned against them. For Allah is strong and will subdue the mightiest foe. Be warned and learn from his gracious message preserved through all time. Buruj of the zodiacal signs. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful. By the sky displaying the zodiacal signs. By the promised day of judgment. By one that witnesses and the subject of the witness. Woe to the makers of the pit of fire. Fire supplied abundantly with fuel. Behold, they sat over against the fire, and they witnessed all that they were doing against the believers. And they ill-treated them for no other reason than they believe in Allah, exalted in power, worthy of all praise. Him to whom belong the dominions of the heavens and the earth, and Allah is witness to all things. Those who persecute or draw into temptation the believers, men and women, and do not turn in repentance, will have the penalty of hell. They will have the penalty of the burning fire. For those who believe and do righteous deeds will be gardens beneath which rivers flow. That is the great salvation, the fulfillment of all desires. Truly strong is the grip and power of thy Lord. It is he who creates from the very beginning, and he can restore life. And he is the all-forgiving, full of loving kindness, Lord of the throne of glory, does without let of all that he intends. Has the story reached thee of the forces of Pharaoh and the Thamud? Yet the unbelievers persisted in rejecting the truth. But Allah doth encompass them from behind. Nay, this is a glorious Qur'an, inscribed in a tablet preserved. Introduction to Surah Tariq, Commentary 266. Through the darkness nights comes the penetrating light of a glorious star. Such is the power of revelation. It protects and guides the erring. For what is man? But a creature of flesh and bones. But Allah by his power doth raise man's state to a life beyond, when lo, all things hidden will be made plain. Man's help will then be but the word of Allah, which none can thwart. So wait with gentle patience for his decision. Tariq, or the night visitor. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful. By the sky and the night visited therein. And what will explain to thee what the night visited is? It is the star of piercing brightness. There is no soul but has a protector over it. Now, let man but think from what he's created. He's created from a drop emitted, proceeding from between the backbone and the rib. Sticky papers. Surely Allah is able to bring them back to life. The day that all things secret will be tested. Man will have no power and no helper. By the firmament which returns in its rounds, and by the earth which opens out for the gushing of springs or the sprouting of vegetation. Behold, this is the word that distinguishes good from evil. It is not a thing for amusement, and as for them, they are but plotting a scheme, and I am planning a scheme. Therefore grant a delay to the unbelievers. Give respite to them gently for a while. Commentary 267, Surah Al. Wonderful are the ways of Allah in creation, and the love with which He guides His creatures' destinies, gives them the means by which to strive for maturity by ordered steps, and reach the end most fitted for their natures. His law is just and easy, His grace is ever ready to help. Let us look to the eternal goal with hearts and souls of purity and glorify His name. For in this changing, fleeting world, His word is always true and will remain through all the ages, ever the same. Allah, or the Most High. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful. Glorify the name of thy guardian Lord Most High, who hath created and further given order and proportion, who hath ordained laws and granted guidance, and who bringeth out the green and luscious pastures, and then doth make it but swarthy stubble. By degrees shall we teach thee to declare the message, so thou shalt not forget it, except as Allah wills. For He knoweth what is manifest and what is hidden, and we will make it easy for thee to follow the simple path. Therefore give admonition in case the admonition profits the hearer. The admonition will be received by those who fear Allah, but it will be avoided by those most unfortunate ones, who will enter the great fire, in which they will then neither die nor live. But those will prosper who purify themselves, and glorify the name of their guardian Lord, and lift their hearts in prayer. Nay, behold, ye prefer the life of this world, for the hereafter is better and more enduring. And this is in the books of the earliest revelation, the books of Ibrahim and Musa. Commentary 268. Introduction to Galatians. Have you heard of that tremendous day when the good from the evil will be separated? There will be souls that day will burn and grovel in the blazing fire of wrath. No food can fill their hunger, no drink, alas, can slake their fierce thirst. There will be souls that day will shout with joy to the glory of their Lord. Their past endeavors will now be achievements. Raised high on thrones of dignity, they will be guests at their sumptuous feast of bliss. Let man but look at his dominion o'er the beasts of the field, or his glorious canopy of stars, or the eternal hills that feed his streams, or the wide expanse of Mother Earth that nurtures him, and he will see the ordered plan of Allah. To him must he return and give account. Let him then learn his lesson and live. Ghashiyah, or the overwhelming event. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful. Has the story reached thee of the overwhelming event? Some faces that they will be humiliated, laboring hard, weary, the while they enter the blazing fire, the while they are given to drink of a boiling hot spring. No food will there be for them but a bitter gaudy, which will neither nourish nor satisfy hungers. Other faces that day will be joyful, pleased with their striving in the garden on high, where they shall hear no word of vanity. Therein will be a bubbling spring. Therein will be thrones of dignity raised on high, goblets placed ready, and cushions set in rows, and rich carpets all spread out. Do they not look at the camels, how they are made? And at the sky, how it's raised high? And at the mountains, how they are fixed firm? And at the earth, how it's spread out? Therefore do thou give admonition, for thou art one to admonish. Thou art not one to manage men's affairs. But if any turn away and reject Allah, Allah will punish him with a mighty punishment. For to us will be their return. Then it will be for us to call them to account. Commentary 269, Introduction to Surah Al-Fajr. Man is apt to forget the contrast in nature and life and all that they mean in his spiritual growth. Perchance his mind is so absorbed in what he sees that he doubts the vast realities he doesn't see. The present makes him blind to the past and the future. Fooled by glory, he fears not a fall, and balked in disaster, he gives up hope and sometimes faith. Let him study nature and history and restore his faith, realizing the sure event, the hereafter. Let him find his fullest fulfillment in the service and good pleasure of Allah. Fajr, or the break of day. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful, by the break of day, by the nights twice 5, by the even and odd contrasted, and by the night when it passes away, is there not in these an adjuration or evidence for those who understand? Seest thou not how thy Lord dealt with the odd people, the city of Iran, with lofty pillars, the like of which were not produced in all the land? And with the Thamud people who cut out huge rocks in the valley? And with Pharaoh, lord of states? All these transgress beyond bounds of the lands, and heap therein mischief and on mischief. Therefore did thy Lord pour on them a scourge of diverse chastisement. For thy Lord is as a guardian on a watchtower. Now, as a man, when his Lord trieth him, giving him honor and gifts, then saith he puffed up, my Lord hath honored me. But when he trieth him, restricting his subsistence for him, then saith he in despair, my Lord hath humiliated me. Nay, nay, but ye honor not the orphans, nor do you encourage one another to feed the poor. And you devour inheritance all with greed, and you love wealth with inordinate love. Nay, when the earth is pounded to powder, and thy Lord cometh and his angels rank upon rank, and hell that day is brought face to face, on that day will man remember. But how will that remembrance profit him? He will say, would that I had sent forth good deeds for this my future life. For that day, his chastisement will be such as none else can inflict, and his bonds will be such as none others can bind. To the righteous soul will be said, O thou soul in complete rest and satisfaction, come back thou to thy Lord, well pleased thyself, and well pleasing unto him. Enter thou then among my devotees, yea, enter thou my heaven. Commentary 270. Introduction to Surah Balad. The prophet's own city persecuted him. Honored by his nativity, it sought to slay him. Yet he loved it and purged it of all that was wrong. What toil and struggle did it not involve? Man is made for toil and struggle. Let him not boast of ease and wealth. He will be called to account for all his doings. Let him use his Allah-given faculties and tread the steep path that leads to heaven's heights. The steps thereto are love, unselfish love. Give freely to Allah's creatures. All those in need and faith in Allah and patience join with self-restraint and kindness. Thus only can we reach the ranks of the blessed companions of the right hand. Balad, or the city. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful, I do call to witness this city, and thou art a free man of this city, in the mystic ties of parent and child. Verily, we have created man into toil and struggle. Thinketh he that none has power over him? He may say boastfully, wealth have I squandered in abundance. Thinketh he that none beholdeth him? Have we not made for him a pair of eyes and a tongue and a pair of lips, and showed him the 2 highways? But he hath made no haste on the path that is steep. And what will explain to thee the path that is steep? It is freeing the bondsman, or the giving of the food in the day of privation, to the orphans with claims of relationship, or to the indigent down in the dust. Then will he be of those who believe in enjoying patience, constancy, and self-restraint, and enjoying deeds of kindness and compassion. Such are the companions of the right hand. For those who reject our signs, they are the unhappy companions of the left hand. On them will be fire volted all around. Shams, commentary 271. All nature around us and her pageants, and the soul of man within proclaims the goodness of Allah. Allah gave the soul the power of choice and the sense of right and wrong. Let man keep it pure and attain salvation. Soil it with sin and reach perdition. In order that wrongdoing ruined the Thamud, they defied Allah's sacred law and his prophet, and went to destruction for their crime. Shams, or the sun. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful. By the sun and his glorious splendor. By the moon as she follows him. by the day as it shows up the sun's glory, by the night as it conceals it, by the firmament and its wonderful structure, by the earth and its wide expanse, by the soul and the proportion and order given to it, and its enlightenment as to its wrongs and its right. Truly he succeeds that purifies it, and he fails that corrupts it. The Thamud people rejected their prophet through their inordinate wrongdoing. Behold, the most wicked man among them was the beautiful in piety. But the apostle of Allah said to them, it is a she-camel of Allah, and bar her not from having her drink. And they rejected him as a false prophet, and they hamstrung her. So their Lord, on account of their crime, obliterated their traces, and made them equal in destruction high and low. And for him is no fear of its consequences. Commentary 272. Introduction to Surah Al-Layl. When we consider Allah's wonderful creation, we see many mysteries, many opposites, many differences. The succession of nights and days, the creation of male and female. Can we wonder at the differences in the nature and objectives of man? He is endowed with will, and he must strive for the right through all his diverse paths. For the righteous, the way is made the smoother for bliss. For the arrogant, crooked will, the way is the smoother for misery. But Allah's guidance is always not, and men will choose it. And what is the goal for those who choose the right? The sight of the face of Allah Most High. For that is indeed happiness supreme. Layl, or the night. In the name of Allah Most Gracious, Most Merciful. By the night as it conceals the light. By the day as it appears in glory. By the mystery of the creation of male and female. Verily the ends ye strive for are diverse. So he who gives in charity and fears Allah, and in all sincerity testifies to the best, we will indeed make smooth for him the path to bliss. But he who is a greedy miser and thinks himself self-sufficient and gives the lie to the best, we will indeed make smooth for him the path to misery. Nor will his wealth profit him when he falls headlong into the pit. Verily, we take upon ourselves to guide, and verily unto us belong the end and the beginning. Therefore do I warn you of a fire blazing fiercely. None shall reach it but those most unfortunate ones, who give the lie to truth and turn their backs. For those most devoted to Allah shall be removed far from it. That is, those who spend their wealth for increase in self-purification, and have in their minds no favor from anyone for which a reward is expected in return, but only the desire to seek the countenance of their Lord Most High. And soon will they attain complete satisfaction. Commentary 273, Introduction to Surah Al-Jummah. What an example we have in the Prophet's life. When moments of inspiration were still, his soul yet felt the power of this stillness, like one who prays by night and waits for the dawn, knowing how the light grows brighter every hour to noon, and well content that night and morn, the hours succeeding are but steps of the plenary splendor of noon. He was content and consoled in the thought that Allah had bestowed his loving care on him in the past, and so the future was sure. He followed the light divine to help the helpless, to attend with patience to the call of those in need, and to rehearse and proclaim and share the boundless bounties of Allah. Duha, or the glorious morning light. In the name of Allah, Most Gracious, Most Merciful, by the glorious morning light, and by the night when it is still, the guardian Lord has not forsaken thee, nor is he displeased. And verily, the hereafter will be better for thee than the present. And soon will thy guardian Lord give thee that wherewith thou shalt be well pleased. Did he not find thee an orphan and give thee shelter and care? And he found thee wandering and he gave thee guidance? And he found thee in need and made thee independent. Therefore, treat not the orphans with harshness, nor repulse the petitioners unhurried. But the bounty of thy Lord rehearse and proclaim. Commentary 274 and Shirah. The Prophet's mind and heart had indeed been expanded and purified. The burden which pressed on his soul had been removed, and his name exalted in this world and the next. For the righteous man there is no trouble, but is linked with ease and joy. He must strive at every stage and look to Allah alone as the goal of all his hopes. In Shirah, or the expansion. In the name of Allah, Most Gracious, Most Merciful, have we not expanded thee thy breast, and removed from thee thy burden, the which did gall thy back, and raised high the esteem in which thou art held? So verily, with every difficulty there is relief, Verily, with every difficulty there is relief. Therefore, when thou art free from thine immediate task, still labor hard, and to thy Lord turn all thy attention. Commentary 275, Introduction to Surah 13. Nature and history in the light of revelation through the ages show that man, created by Allah in the best of modes, can yet fall to the lowest depths unless he lives a life of faith and righteousness. Then will he reach his goal. If not, he must stand his judgment. None can doubt before the wisest and justest of judges. Teen, or the fig. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful, by the fig and the olive and the mount of Sinai, the city of security, we have indeed created man in the best of modes. Then do we abase him to be the lowest of low, except such as believe and do righteous deeds, for they shall have a reward unfailing. Then what can after this contradict them as to the judgment to come? Is not Allah the wisest of judges? Commentary 276. Noble is the mission of the prophet selected to proclaim the message of Allah, the Lord and cherisher of all his creation, whose measureless bounties include the instructions of man in new and ever new knowledge. But alas for man, he fancies himself self-sufficient, turns away from the path and misleads others. But nothing is hidden from Allah. He will bring all untruth and sin and rebellion to judgment, and subdue all evil. The righteous bow in adoration to Allah and draw closer to Him. Iqra, or read, or proclaim, or Allah, or the clot of congealed blood. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful. Proclaim, or read in the name of thy Lord and cherisher who created man out of a mere clot of congealed blood. Proclaim, and thy Lord is most bountiful. He who taught the use of the pen taught man that which he knew not. Nay, but man doth transgress all bounds, and that he looketh upon himself as self-sufficient. Verily to thy Lord is the return of all. Seest thou one who forbids a votary when he turns to pray? Seest thou if he is on the road of guidance, or enjoins righteousness? Seest thou if he denies truth and turns away? Know thee not that Allah doth see? Let him beware. If he desist not, we will drag him by the forelock, a lying, sinful forelock. Then let him call for help to his council of comrades. We will call on the angels of punishment to deal with him. Nay, heed him not, but bow down in adoration and bring thyself closer to Allah. As a sister. Introduction to Surah Qadr 277. Blessed indeed is the night of power, when the mercy of Allah's revelation breaks through the darkness of human soul. All the power of the world divine speed on the mystic message of mercy by God's command, and bless every nook and corner of the heart. All jars are still in the reign supreme of peace until the mortal night gives place to the glorious day of an immortal word. Qadr, or the night of power, or honor. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful, we have indeed revealed this message in the night of power. Then what will explain to thee what the night of power is? The night of power is better than 1,000 months. Therein comes down the angel and the spirit by Allah's permission on every errand. Peace, this, until the rise of morn. Commentary 278, Introduction to Surah Bayinah. For those who reject the light of truth are obstinate. Why should they persist in evil ways when the clear evidence has come before them? The straight religion is simple: to adore with a pure heart the Allah of truth, to draw nigh to Him in prayer sincere, and to serve our fellow creatures in charity and love. To do aught else is to fall from grace. But faith and good life lead straight to the goal, the beauteous gardens of bliss eternal, and the mutual good pleasure of the soul in her Lord. Bayinah, or the clear evidence. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful, those who reject truth among the people of the book and among the polytheists were not going to depart from their ways until there should come to them clear evidence. An apostle from Allah rehearsing scriptures kept pure and holy, wherein are laws or decrees right and straight. Nor did the people of the book make schisms until after there came to them clear evidence. And they have been commanded no more than this, to worship Allah, offering Him sincere devotion, being true in faith, to establish regular prayer and to practice regular charity. And that is the religion right and straight. Those who reject truth among the people of the book and among the polytheists will be in hell fire to dwell therein forever. They are the worst of creatures. Those who have faith and do righteous deeds, they are the best of creatures. Their reward is with Allah, gardens of eternity beneath which rivers flow. They will dwell therein forever. Allah well pleased with them and they with Him. All this for such as fear their Lord and cherish it. Introduction to Surah Al-Zilzal, commentary 279. The hour of judgment must need be heralded by a mighty convulsion. The earth will give up her secrets and tell her tale of all man's doing. Men will march in companies and clearly see the inwardness of all their deeds. Not an atom of good or evil done, but will be shown in the final account of men convinced. Zilzal or convulsion. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful. When the earth is shaken to her utmost convulsion, and the earth throws up her burdens from within, and man cries distress, what is the matter with her? On that day will she declare her tidings, for that thy Lord will have given her inspiration. On that day will men proceed in companies sorted out to be shown the deeds that they done. Then shall anyone who has done an atom's weight of good see it, and anyone who has done an atom's weight of evil shall see it. Commentary 280, Introduction to Surah Al-Adiyat. There are those that fight with eager charge the host of evil and storms its citadel. But unregenerate man shows less than gratitude for Allah's most gracious bounties. His life bears witness to his treason and his greed. Allah's knowledge is all-embracing, and things hidden will be laid bare at judgment. Adiyat, or those that run. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful, by the steeds that run with panting breath, and strike sparks of fire, and push home the charge in the morning, and raise the dust and clouds the while, and penetrate forthwith in the midst of the foe unmasked. Truly man is to his Lord ungrateful, and to that fact he bears witness by his deeds. And violent is he in his love of wealth. Does he not know when that which is in the grave is scattered abroad, and that which is locked up in human breasts is made manifest, that their Lord had been well acquainted with them, even to that day? Audio, commentary 281. How will the sense of man stand the noise and clamor of the great day of account, whereon this life's old landmarks will vanish, and men will be helpless like scattered moss? Nay, but a balance of justice will weigh and appraise all deeds, and those whose good will show substance and weight will achieve a life of good pleasure and satisfaction, while those whose good will be light will find themselves, alas, in a blazing pit of punishment. Al-Qari'ah, the day of noise and clamor. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful, the day of noise and clamor. What is the day of noise and clamor? What will explain to thee what the day of noise and clamor is? It is a day whereon men will be like moths scattered about, and the mountains will be like carded wool. Then he whose balance of good deeds will be found heavy will be in a life of good pleasure and satisfaction. But he whose balance of good deeds will be found light will have his home in a bottomless pit. And what will explain to thee what this is? It is a fire, blazing fiercely. Takathur, commentary 282. Be not engrossed in things ephemeral, to the neglect of higher things in life. Life is short, and death will soon claim you. Oh, that men would only learn before it's too late the serious issues of higher life. They must face the consequences of their neglect. For every good and joy, they must in the hereafter give us strict and common. Takathur, or piling up. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful, the mutual rivalry for piling up the good things of this world diverts you from the more serious things until you visit the graves. But nay, you soon shall know the reality. Again, you soon shall know. Nay, you would know with certainty of mind, you would beware. Ye shall certainly see hellfire. Again, ye shall see it with certainty of sight. Then shall ye be questioned that day, about the joy you indulge in. Commentary 283, Surah Asr. Waste not nor misuse your life. Time through the ages bear witness that nothing remains but faith, good deeds, and the teaching of truth, and the teaching of patience and constancy. But for these, man against time is in loss. Asr, or the time through the ages. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful. By the token of time through the ages, verily man is in loss, except such as have faith and do righteous deeds and join together in the mutual teaching of truth and patience and constancy. Commentary 284, Humazah. Woe to the man or woman who deals in scandal in word or act, or by insults or suggestions. Woe to the backbiter, and if his tale is true, for the taint is in his motive. Woe to the miser who blocks up the channels of use and service and dams up his wealth as if he could remain in possession for all time. The fire of wrath will envelop them and wither up in their hearts and minds and consume that largeness of life which is the portion of mankind. Humazah, or the scandal monger. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful. Woe to every kind of scandal monger and backbiter who piles up wealth and layeth it by, thinking that his wealth will make him last forever. By no means, he will be sure to be thrown into that which breaks to pieces. And what it will explain to thee that which breaks to pieces? It is the fire of the wrath of Allah kindled to a blaze, the which does mount right to the heart. It shall be made into a vault over them in columns outstretched. Commentary 285. Introduction to Surah Al-Fiyah. Let no man be intoxicated with power or material resources. They cannot defeat the purposes of Allah. So Ibrahim Ashram found to his cost. His sacrilegious attack on the holy fane of Allah brought about his own undoing. Was seen but frail, destroyed his mighty host in a day. Field or the elephant. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful. Seest thou not how thy Lord dealt with the companions of the elephant? Did he not make their treacherous plan go astray? And he sent against them flights of birds, striking them with stones of bay clay. Then did he make them like an empty field of stalk and straw, which the corn has been eaten up. Commentary 286, Introduction to the Quraysh. We gave the Quraysh their talents for the arts of peace, for trade and commerce, and for the journey south and north at proper seasons, and made their homes inviolable in Mecca. Surely they, if any, should adore their Lord and listen to his message of unity and truth. Quraysh, or the Quraysh custodians of the Kaaba. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful, for the covenants of security and safeguard enjoyed by the Quraysh, their covenants covering journey by winter and summer, let them adore the Lord of this house, who provides them with food against hunger and with security against fear of danger. Commentary 287, Introduction to Surah Al-Ma'un. What remains if you deny all faith and personal responsibility? Why then help the helpless or teach others deeds of charity? Vain were worship without heart and soul. What think ye of men who make great show, but fail to meet the simple needs of daily life? Ma'un, or neighborly needs. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful. Seest thou one who denies the judgment to come? Then such is the man who repulses the orphan with harshness and encourages not the feeding of the indigent. So woe to the worshippers who are neglectful of their prayer. That is, those who want but to be seen of men, but refuse to supply even neighborly needs. Commentary 288. To the man of Allah, rich in divine blessings, is granted a fountain unfailing, that will quench the spiritual thirst of millions, turned in devotion and sacrifice to Allah, nor heed the venom of hatred which destroys his own hope, alas, of the present and the future. Introduction to the Kawthar, or abundant. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful, to thee have we granted the fount of abundance. Therefore to thy Lord turn in prayer and sacrifice. For he who hateth thee, he will be cut off from future hope. Introduction to the Kafirun. Commentary 289. The man of faith holds fast to his faith because he knows it's true. The man of the world, rejecting faith, clings hard to worldly interests. Let him mind his worldly interests, but let him not force his interests on men sincere and true by faith, force, or fraud. Kafirun are those who reject faith. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful. say, O ye that reject faith, I worship not that which ye worship, nor will ye worship that which I worship. And I will not worship that which ye have been wont to worship, nor will ye worship that which I worship. To you be your way, and to me mine. Commentary 290, Introduction to the Nas. For that which is right, the help of Allah is ever nigh in victory. When the spirit of men is stirred, they come to the flag of faith in troops and battalions. They are to be welcome, but praise and glory belongs to Allah. To him we humbly turn and pray for grace, for he is oft returning in grace and mercy. Nasr, or help. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful. When comes the help of Allah in victory, and thou dost see the people enter Allah's religion in crowds, celebrate the praises of thy Lord and pray for his forgiveness, for he is oft returning in grace and mercy. Commentary 291, Introduction to Surah Al-Lahab. The chosen one of Allah, in his earnest desire to proclaim the message, gathered his kins together to hear and judge with open minds between error and truth. Behold, the fiery father of flame blazed up with foul abuse and curses, and said to the Holy One, Perish thou! With his hands he took stones and cast them at the Holy One's head. Proud, he headed relentless persecution. His wife laid snares, tied thorns with twisted ropes of prickly palm leaf fibers, and strewed them into the Holy One's path on darkest nights for cruel sport. Below, the curses, insults, spites harmed not the innocent, but hit the wrongdoers themselves and branded them with eternal infamy. Lahab, or the father of flame. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful. Perish the hands of the father of flame, perish he. No profit to him from all his wealth and all his gains. Burnt soon will he be in a fire of blazing flame. His wife shall carry the crackling wood as fuel, a twisted robe of palm leaf fiber round her own neck. Commentary 292, Introduction to Surah Al-Ikhlas. Keep faith all pure and undefiled. There is Allah, the one and only, eternal, free of all needs, on whom depend, to whom go back all things. He has no son, nor father, nor partners. There is no person like unto him. Ikhlas, of purity of faith. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful, say, He is Allah, the one and only, Allah, the eternal absolute. He begetteth not, nor is he begotten, and there is none like unto him. Commentary 293, Introduction to Surah Salat. It is Allah who brings forth light from darkness, life and activity from death, spiritual enlightenment from ignorance and superstition. Banish fear and trust its providence. No danger then from the outer world, no secret plottings from perverted wheels, no disturbances of your happiness or good can affect the fortress of your inmost soul. Salat, or the dawn. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful, say, I seek refuge with the Lord of the dawn, from the mischief of created things, from the mischief of darkness as it overspreads, from the mischief of those who practice secret arts, and from the mischief of the envious one as he practices envy. Introduction to Surah Nas, Commentary 294. Insidious evil lies in wait for man and loves to whisper and withdraw, thus testing his will. But man can make Allah his sure shield, for Allah does care for him and cherishes him. Allah, the heavenly King who gives him laws, and Allah is the goal to which he will return and be judged. Let man but place himself in Allah's hand, and never can evil touch him in his essential and inner life. Nas, or mankind. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful, say, I seek refuge with the Lord and cherisher of mankind, the King or ruler of mankind, the God or judge of mankind, from the mischief of the whisperer of evil who withdraws after his whisper, the same who whispers into the hearts of mankind, among jinns and among men. Thus spake, inspired our holy prophet Muhammad, on whom we invoke Allah's blessings forever and ever. We who are heirs to his teaching, his exemplary life, and the golden thread which he inwove into the web of human history. In pious retreats he prayed, much thought he gave to life's most obstinate tangles. Against odds he strove with might and main, wisely he led and gently he counseled it, firmly he subdued evil. Mantle clad he solved the most baffling mysteries, His soul would scale the heights of heaven, yet showered his love on the weak and lowly of this earth. Like a cloud that catches the glory of the sun, he threw his protecting shade on all. The widow's cry, or the orphans, found an answer in his heart, as did the cry of penury and need. He searched out those who felt no need, being by pride or ignorance blinded. He fulfilled their real wants. His last great charge summed up the rule of spiritual life and linking faith with one universal brotherhood. Ah, ne'er shall we see such life again. But his clarion voice still speaks his message. His love and wisdom still pour forth without stint the inexhaustible treasures of Allah for whoever would bring and purify heart to receive him. And never did the world, impoverished by his own wayward lust and greed, need those treasures more than now. Now there is still with us much sorrow and sin, injustice, oppression, wrong and hate. Still does arrogance deaden conscience, rob struggling souls of the crumbs of pity, and make of loathsome flesh and crumbling dust fair seeming idols for worship. Still does ignorance blow a mighty horn and try to shame true wisdom. Still do men drive slaves, protesting smoothly the end of slavery. Still does greed devour the substance of helpless ones within her power. Nay more, the fine individual voice is smothered in the raucous dins of groups and crowds that madly shout what they call slogans, new old falsehood long discredited. What can we do to make Allah's light shine forth through the darkness around us? We must first let it shine in our own true selves. And with that light in the niche of our inmost hearts, we can walk with steps both firm and sure. We can humbly visit the comfortless and guide their steps. Not we, but the light will guide. But oh, the joy of being found worthy to bear the torch and to say to our brethren, I too was in darkness, comfortless, and behold, I found comfort and joy in the grace divine. Thus should we pay the dues of brotherhood by walking humbly side by side in the ways of the Lord with mutual aid and comfort and heartfelt prayer backed by action. That's Allah's good purpose may be accomplished in us all together. Alhamdulillah. Takbir! 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 That is the completion of the Qur'an Majid for Ramadan 2023. I want to thank everyone here and everyone online who have followed us through these 30 rigorous days, these 29 rigorous days. We thank you very much for your support, and we thank you very much for your actions following us. And that completes the Quran for this year, inshallah. May Allah bring us back again next year so we can have another reading of His glorious, glorious Quran. And for those of you, I want to say to all of you, Eid Mubarak. Our Eid day will be on tomorrow. We are happy that we fulfilled this fasting, this training for these 30 days, inshallah. So let us be mindful of that also. Brothers, so let us strive as much as we can. I would like for most people to, make sure that your zakat is due prior to the Eid day. Make sure your annual zakat is due. Also make sure that your zakat fitr, that is $10 per person, per family, inshallah, is due on tomorrow before the Eid prayer. So come in with that, inshallah. Also, a reminder for you, as those of you can pay online, you can go to FirstClevelandMosque.org, FirstCleveland.org for PayPal. You can go to Cash App, $FirstCleveland. You can go to Zelle, FirstClevelandMosque131@gmail.com, or you can write a check out to First Cleveland Mosque, 3613 East 131st Street, Cleveland, Ohio, 44120. You can do that, or you can bring it in. Tomorrow, Eid day will start tomorrow, the prayer will start at 8:30. I want you to come here a little earlier because I don't know if you'll have, it'll be traffic and it'll also be quite a few people. And it's also a Jummah day. So those of you, the ruling on this, those of you on the ruling of Jummah and Eid on the same day, those of you who come to Eid, then you're not obligated to go to Jummah, but you are obligated to do your Dhuhr, so you might as well go to Jummah. Jummah becomes a sunnah for those people who attended the Eid prayer. However, it's a mandate on the Imam to do the Jummah. So I have to do the Jummah whether I like it or not. Okay, the Jummah must be done. Those who don't attend the prayer in the morning, must come to Jummah. That's an obligation on us, inshallah. And that's men, especially men. So those of us, make sure that we strive as much as we can to enjoy the day. On tomorrow we will have the prayer, and we have donuts and coffee and enjoy, giving toys out to the kids. Then we're going to have a marriage ceremony that day. We're going to have Jummah that day. We're going to have dinner that afternoon. It's going to be a loaded day tomorrow. So let us all enjoy. I would suggest that don't go out nowhere. Come back and enjoy yourself at the Mosque. That's where everybody should be, inshallah. So let us remind yourselves of that. This is a celebration. Gifts and everything should go out. Sister G? Wa alaikum salam.
For those who are bringing the food, we would like to have it here by 4:30, so we can set everything up properly, so we can start it by, and people can still have an early evening. And it's gonna be a fun-filled day. And for my family with children, we're gonna have toys. I need my boys to help me down to bring them in.
Okay, inshallah. So right there, right then and there, we're going to dismiss right now and break our fast. And any announcements?
For the sisters, we take the clothes